What's up? What's up? What is up? You know what it is. It's another Friday. So we are going to bring you the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. This particular week, this particular episode is going by the name of options trading. And as you know, we always get into what that really means a little further into the show. We will let you know that there's only going to be two of the three of the crew in the building, myself and the Big Flow Show, because things happen sometimes on a Friday. But it's going to be no less rough, rugged, and raw. We're going to bring it to your doorsteps, bring it to your smart device, bring it to your laptop, however you're consuming it. You better believe it's going to be rough, rugged, and raw. And like I said, today's episode is called Options Trading. Options trading. And for those of you who are in the market, you'll know that options trading refers to another asset class. And when used correctly, according to Investopedia, they offer advantages that trading stocks and ETFs alone cannot offer. So I say that to say the key takeaways, according to Investopedia again, are an option is a contract gives the buyer the right but not the obligation to buy in the case of a call or to sell in the case of a put the underlying asset at a specific price on or before a certain date. People use options for income, to speculate, and to hedge risk. Options are known as derivatives because they derive their value from an underlying asset. And while Investopedia explains it that way, we're going to bring it to you in a way that is sports, business, and entertainment that shows you what option trading really is. A lot of options on the table, a lot of trading. We're going to get it to you. The only way that we know how, rough, rugged, and raw, is sports, business, and entertainment. Stick with us. Fasten your seatbelt. Make sure that you are prepared for the journey, because here we go. Starting now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another show, the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Let's go.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go.
What's up, good people? In the building with my man, the Big Flow Show. Good morning to you. What's going on, Big Flow?
It's good, America. Just getting ready for another show. Weekend coming up. Supposed to be 80 degrees around this piece.
In the Windy City, 80 degrees. The Hawk is out. It's 80 degrees. They say it's a summer city. It's not summer there yet in Chicago.
No, it's not summer, but you know what? We have our barbecues on standby. Sometimes you catch 45 degrees in January. You got the barbecue. It's an obligation.
There you go.
It's going to rain today, so we're going to pay for it. Probably mosquitoes will be out. They'll be birthed by tomorrow, and something will be wrong with the day, but we're going to enjoy 80 somehow.
Well, that's awesome, man. Always glad to have you in the building, man. Like we said, we are one short in the sense that ETP, Elsa producer, had a conflict this morning. He's out making them bills, dividends, dead president. So we got to make sure that we pick up the slack. We do our part and be rough, rugged, and rawer than normal. Because we got to take the ETP role. So let's hop in, man. When it comes to this doggone options trading, I know that you're a man with a very robust portfolio, shall I say?
Yes.
Safe to say?
Option free, but yes.
Options free, but you understand the options.
I mean, I understand it when I need to understand something that I go to my co-host that has 17 degrees from Ivy Leagues, Notre Dame, couple degrees. One Notre Dame degree is not enough. You gotta
you know
then
what,
you gotta go to Yale, and then you gotta start off a sports show talking about investments.
Man, and I gotta figure out how to connect the two. But I got the perfect connection.
We must because we need a disclaimer to say that this is not investment advice.
Oh yeah, this is not just any investment advice, all that good stuff.
That's what they say.
Yeah, but I got the perfect disclaimer. Or the perfect connection to make it all connect, man. Because I watched the game this week where
which game is that?
This NBA game.
Okay.
You know, NBA action is fantastic in the playoffs. You remember the commercial?
I do.
And it has been fantastic so far. But what has not been fantastic is the Brooklyn Nets, option 1 and option 2. Option 1 would be KD. Option 2 would be Kyrie. While Kyrie was outstanding in game 1, he took a step back in game 2. So I guess in this option trading episode of the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, there are certain teams that you don't get to trade your options, right? Your number 1 and your number 2 have to step up and they have to show out in order to win games. The Nets were up. Things were looking good. Things looked as though that they were going to turn the tide. All of a sudden, man, option 1 and option 2, that would be KD and Kyrie, came up small. I've never seen KD miss so many shots. And that was the lingering effect of game 1 where Kyrie went smooth snap off. But KD still came up small. KD had a chance to make the biggest shot in the game, up 1 with a possession late in the shot clock and missed a 3-point shot. So when you connect these 2 games, right? It's not a large sample size because we only got 2 games, but we got 2 playoff games in the 2022, because I don't call play-in playoffs. We talked about that last week. That ain't playoffs yet. It's play-in. We're now in the playoffs. We got 2 games where KD has come up noticeably small. And these 2 options, option 1 and option 2 on the Brooklyn Nets, you can't trade them in. If they don't show up, you don't win. Does this hurt the KD legacy? Let's say that I doubt they get swept. I think that they'll bounce back and win at least 1 game in Brooklyn. But let's say they get a gentleman's sweep and lose 4-1. Or God forbid they actually get swept. Is the legacy of KD immediately ruined? Because I know we do this with your boy LeBronis. We overreact. The recency bias is crazy. We overreact. But when I think of how bad KD has played over these last 2 games, when I think about Harden finding his way out because he thought that the circus was a little too eventful over there in Brooklyn, and it was not a very harmonious threesome together. Pause. When it comes to those 3 on the court. So now, does this hurt his legacy if indeed Brooklyn doesn't do an about face and figure out quickly how to answer what the Celtics are bringing?
It does. I think his legacy has already been a little damaged, but I think what we're seeing here is, you know, back in the day, it doesn't matter to the playoffs. Doesn't matter to the playoffs. It's starting to go away, right? You know, you see these teams that just kind of, the regular season was just practice and they just got things around, and we get to the playoffs, all bets are off. I think we're starting to see that that's just not the case, right? And you got to have chemistry first,
right?
Our Greek friend LeBronis showed us that
LeBronis,
it didn't work out there. You know what I mean? Mr. Glass didn't play most of the season. Then he tried to come at the end, and it's just too little, too late. It's like the chemistry builds momentum with these teams, and now you're starting to see that you can't try to take the whole year off. And I think if you just look at the Nets, it's been crazy with vaccine gate or whatever you want to call it. Kyrie just coming and visiting every once in a while, and most of us think, that'd be enough. Wait till they all get together, and then boom, Harden decides he wants to leave.
Yeah.
Then they thought they were going to bring in. They got to be super disappointed. They had to think that by now.
They thought Aldridge would be able to contribute, and he had his health issues, and that hasn't worked out. You thought Ben Simmons was going to actually be a part of the trade.
Oh yeah, we thought Ben Simmons was going to just come back in here and be. They didn't need Ben Simmons that everyone was waiting for. They could just use old Ben Simmons, and they would have been fine.
Right.
Curry's been decent though, hasn't
he? Yes, Seth Curry has shot the ball well at times. Streaky, but you didn't expect him to be a big part, right? Right. That wasn't when you looked at the options in that deal. Yeah, he wasn't a big option. So he's done what he was supposed to do and then some.
I would say that too. So they really got nothing out of it. With Ben Simmons is not playing. I just think it's. I guess I don't know if I'm thinking or hoping. I'm being honest. Let's be upfront here. I don't want them to win. So I'm thinking or hoping that it's too little too late.
You thinking and hoping it's a little too late. I do see that we got a lot of people in. What's up, fellas, man? Good morning to y'all, man. I appreciate the support. And like we said every week, humbly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know. And please subscribe both to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. Wherever you consume your podcast, you can find us, the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. So I'm gonna say good morning to all you guys. We're a little short-handed, so if I don't post your comment, man, just know that I'm in deep thought. That's the only reason. You're thinking and you're hoping it's a little too late. And I know why, because you are a part of the Greek LeBronis fan club. You are, I think, you're not the president, but you have an executive office of some sort. Yeah, you up there. You might be a secretary. You're a high-ranking member of the LeBron fan club. And LeBron gets it all the time. Anytime he misses a shot, we criticize. Anytime he shies away from a moment, it's a legacy conversation. So I think we are at least being fair by doing the same thing with KD. Because in two respective games, right, subsequent games, he's come up very small. And I think that when you go into game 3 in a must-win situation, because in all of basketball, no one has come back from down 3-0. They have not come back to win a series. So if you're talking about legacy, he can still win. It could be a gentleman's sweep, and I think you're still in trouble. If you win 2, I don't think this is a big legacy conversation. You get swept.
In round 1.
In round 1. Granted, they are the 7 seed facing the 2 seed, but no one looked at them as a 7 seed. Everyone looked at them, Vegas included, as a team that was coming together at the right time that could make a run to get this NBA title. Everyone looked at them as they had the 2 best options. They had the 2 best options. Granted, neither of the 2 are MVP finalists. We're going to talk about the MVP finalists, but you still looked at them as they got the 2 best offensive options going down into the playoffs. And yet they look pedestrian at times. They don't play any defense. I don't think Kyrie or KD motivate their team to be better. We talk about the intangibles when it comes to LeBron. The MJ conversation always starts and stops with, well, you got the championships, and then it gets into the intangibles. KD and Kyrie look like they have failed miserably when it comes to the test of intangibles. Their team looks as though they're waiting on KD and Kyrie to do something. Kyrie did that in game 1. He didn't do anything in game 2. And I think that when you're talking about your top 2 options, maybe in the entire NBA, right, arguably you look at a duo and ability to score, ability to get where they want to get to on the floor, pick their spots. Kyrie in terms of being able to dribble that ball like he's holding it with a yo-yo. You can't stop him from getting anywhere. KD can get any shot that he wants against any defense normally, but that hasn't happened in this series. I think this might be a legacy defining, and unfortunately for them, in a negative way, a legacy defining series. And I don't want to be hyperbole. Tends to ruin a lot of sports conversations. So I don't want to go too far, but I don't know that this is hyperbole when you look at the talent that they have surrounding them. No, it's not the Lakers with 4, potentially 5 Hall of Famers. It's not that, but it is a very good team that you thought was constructed to win now. And this would be the second iteration of them showing that they're unable to win now. This is year 2 of this. And while it has changed a little bit with James Harden leaving, I think that indeed KD deserves a lot of the blame. I'm just going to be fair because I'm tough on LeBron. I got to go ahead and be tough on KD too. He's come up small. The 7'3" wingspan has looked more like 3'7" when it has come to these playoffs. He has looked small.
Yeah. What does it say for basketball though? If KD after one round, KD and LeBron are out of the playoffs. I mean, where are we at now? I mean, is that good for basketball?
LeBron was never in these playoffs, but go ahead.
But I'm saying I don't know why we had to do that because everybody knew.
mean,
Raise your hand if you didn't know LeBron wasn't in it. But
I
I'm
was just
saying
making
that
sure,
after
man.
one round, you no longer have two of arguably the best players in basketball. LeBron for sure, KD questionably is one of the best players in basketball. So I think that it's weird for basketball. But is it a good thing? Is it a good thing that that the league has gotten to a point where they can outplay the superstardom or superstar status of the two of the greatest and move on. I don't know. I think it's weird. I do feel like I've been less motivated to watch the playoffs with LeBron out of it. I'll be honest.
That's some hater. Hey, Adam Silver, if you're listening to this, just know that he has a very unique opinion when it comes to that, man. It's not LeBron or bust when it comes to NBA. It's been some good basketball. Look, you got my man Dennis Collins on here. What's up, good bro? Talking about Memphis, man. Yeah, I could almost hear. I read the comment in the voice that I heard it. Memphis, man. They got them Jerry Curls down there. They down there balling. John Morant's been doing his thing. There's been some other good basketball, man. I tend to like Phoenix. Devin Booker injury is going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Luka's out.
Luka is out. The Joker played well last night, but Denver looks like they might be
they're down 3-0, right?
They're down 3-0. Because Jordan Poole has played great. So we're gonna get into some of the other names of people that have played well, but I can't agree with you. I think although LeBron is out of it, and there has been so many storylines. Look, he made the playoffs for I don't know how many. He made the finals for like 10 straight years or something crazy like that. 4 of them really mattered when he was in Miami. The other stuff, I don't know. I don't care about none of that. But it is a storyline that he's not there. But I'm not certain that the quality of basketball has suffered because I've seen some great basketball in this first round, even in the play-ins. I'll undo my own statement and say even in the play-ins there was some good basketball. So there's been good basketball. I don't know, and please do chime in for our live audience since we're missing one of the 3 of us. ETP couldn't make it today. We're going to rely on you guys to weigh in as well. Please let us know, man. What do you guys think that this does to the legacy of KD and potentially Kyrie? Kyrie's at least got one good game in his bag, right? Game 1, he showed out 39 points and balled out. Now we know that game talk,
1. Do you feel like it's almost guaranteed a 55-point game by KD next game? There's no way they're going to keep it. If they lose one more and they go down 3-0, that's over. Unbelievable. Because he's okay. He didn't answer the first bell. But if KD doesn't answer this bell, it really slaps his face when it comes to his legacy. I'm expecting, as much trash we're talking now, I expect us this time next week to be like, well, KD and Kyrie figured it out. But if they don't figure it out, because I don't think either one of us in our gut feels like they're not going to figure it out. Anybody out there watching, we can hate on them. I'm taking advantage of kicking a man while he's down. But deep down, I'm not going in my pocket. Right?
You wouldn't bet against KD.
Nah.
Because he's gotten the shots. He's missed the shots. So a lot of people are thinking, I'm in a lot of these group chats and what men do in group chats. We talk about sports.
Hey, man. Hey, James Critter, you misspelled Lakers, man. Go on, edit that. Edit that.
For those of you who are just listening, my man
got a capital L right now with a not making the
play. Someone did comment that LeBron and the Fakers didn't even make the play in, and he said Fakers. So I think Big Flo thinks he made a mistake and meant Lakers. But
well, you have a chance to put a big L on that team, a capital L, and you missed the opportunity.
You missed the opportunity.
To be cute. So that was a missed opportunity.
So we are looking at a point now, man, where KD has gotten the shots that he wanted to get. Boston's defense has been tough, but it hasn't been so tough that he's not getting shots up. He's just missing shots. So in one group text, it has been thrown out there as a possibility that KD is just tired. He looks tired. He's playing more minutes than he has in a long time. He came off the injury. The expectations are higher. We don't have someone like James Harden to be ball dominant, so he's got the ball in his hand more offensively in order to score. And
is anyone counting the excuses that he just made, or is
I
got to 5 and I had to put the phone down so I could get to. How many more excuses are we gonna give?
All of those things might be considered excuses, but from a basketball standpoint, observing they are.
Is the game longer? With New Jersey's games longer than the other games in the NBA?
The game might be longer, and they give you shorter water breaks.
Okay.
All of those things are true.
These excuses for the guy.
But do you think he looks tired? So let's ask it objectively. Do you think he looks tired? Are the missed shots a byproduct of the defense just weighing on him, or is he just missing shots? You know, because there is that option that you just coming up short in the biggest moment when we need you, bruh. For some reason, the ball won't fall in the basket, and the superstars tend to be the target of our anger when the ball don't fall in the shot, and the ball does not fall in the basket, and we need points. So KD finds himself in that seat right now, and it's a hot seat.
I think it's a very hot seat. NBA. I think basketball is a game of rhythm. Like, you know what I mean? You got to get into a rhythm. You got to, you know, come into your shots, do whatever. I just don't think that they've played enough basketball as a team in this form to have their rhythm right. Do I think they're going to get it right? Probably, but at the same time, Boston's not going to sit here waiting.
Nah, they're not going to wait.
They're not waiting on it. The team has been working on it. Well, everybody's been super teaming, talking all this stuff. They've been just grinding it out. As much as I'm not a big fan of the Celtics or the city of Boston, too bad ETP's not here to defend itself. But I just don't really like. It's funny. We just think that the people are just going to hand them the championship or hand them some dubs.
Right. Just because they're better on paper. Yeah, and I'm not certain that they're better on paper, but they look a little flashier on paper. And look, I think the Celtics are getting Robert Williams III back in this series, who defensively makes them even tougher. He's going to defend the paint. Offensively makes them almost unstoppable, because when Tatum can get to his spots and throw that lob pass up to Robert Williams for a dunk, it makes him unstoppable. So, you know, according to Bruce Brown, not having Robert Williams III there was going to make the Celtics defense very vulnerable. Now, KD almost slapped him in the back of the head as soon as he said, like, "You big dummy." And, you know, he was Lamont in that case. Yeah, big dummy, because he has ignited the Celtics team. Or maybe they just came in ready to play. Maybe they didn't like the feeling of being insulted as the 2 seed, being considered an underdog. I don't think the Celtics look like they're built to win this year, but they certainly look like they might be built to win this series. And if they do it in sweep fashion, KD is always going to have this as a stench on his legacy. This going to be stinking like them Lincolns and Piedmont Park. This not going to smell good if you get swept. It's just not going to smell good. There's a lot of basketball still to be played. They say the series is not even a series until somebody wins on the opponent's court. That hasn't happened yet. Celtics held serve. Honestly, Brooklyn should have won game 1. KD should have at least, I think, you know, it was a tough shot, but that's a shot you need. Kyrie did his part, right? And defensively, I think KD should have dropped and been in position to help out defensively on Tatum on that last layup with no time left. No one has won on the opponent's court yet. But if that were to happen in game 3 tomorrow, we're in big trouble when it comes to Brooklyn. And KD's legacy, especially. I don't know about Kyrie. Kyrie hasn't played a lot this year, so I don't know if it's a legacy conversation with him. Anybody else in NBA playoffs? I see my man Dennis talking about Memphis, Maine, and they have played well. Memphis was able to bring it back even. Now they're up 2-1. They won last night. I love to see Ja Morant's dad and Karl Anthony Towns' dad going at it. And KAT's dad and Ja Morant's dad. It makes me feel better about being one of them dads talking trash in the AAU circuit. Have you been watching some of their back and forth?
I have not.
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns and Ja Morant's dad are quintessential AAU dads. They go in there, they both talking trash because look, I'm betting with his money. I ain't got to go back it up, right? I believe in my son.
My son, whoop your son.
My son, whoop 7 feet.
You can't mess my son. 6'4", dunk on your son's head.
In a way, initially when I saw TNT and ESPN capturing, I was like, man, it's making us all look bad. But they got 2 dads, 2 brothers. One obviously a recent widow, and Karl Anthony Towns' dad tragically lost. He lost his mother during COVID. So but you got two dads that are involved. That's the flip side of it. When I watch AAU, sometimes I'm embarrassed with my own antics and embarrassed by other brothers' antics, but you got brothers involved. So it's the opposite story that we have seen so many times generationally in our community. You got two brothers involved, but they going back and forth talking trash, man. I mean, it's old school trash too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just the way they looking at each other. Nowadays in 7-on-7, you're allowed to clap and be all up, but they ain't got to do that. They just looking at each other with a certain type of disrespectful respect, and I love watching them, man. We'll see who comes out on top. Anybody else that you've seen in these playoffs that you have noticed has answered the bell? Because while I'm talking about KD, really the Joker has been coming up short. He's allowed Golden State to frustrate him, but they don't have Murray. They've got issues in Denver that all year you thought Joker was doing the unthinkable. That's not the case for KD. We thought that this team with this mix of players at this time was going to answer the bell. It hasn't happened. Who has answered the bell? Who have you noticed has played well?
Chu showed up, put up there. Maybe it's Ramadan. When is Ramadan over?
I think Ramadan just ended. I think Ramadan, and don't quote me on that, but I think Ramadan just ended. It's around the whole Lent ending and Passover. All of it comes together with different religions.
Because I think that's a valid point. I don't know how long he's been Muslim. If he's not, when do you get used to going without food and water, once a year? So playing NBA games, that might mess your jump shot up looking.
But Kyrie hit 39. If it is Ramadan, it didn't stop him in game one for acting a donkey. And if it is Ramadan, it didn't stop him from flicking off fans and telling them to go kiss my lips.
That may have contributed to that.
But you should be at peace and be in Zen during Ramadan. You shouldn't be choosing violence during Ramadan, right? Not Ramadan. To be choosing somebody else's.
It doesn't end until May 1st. They'll be fishing by then.
Oh, it doesn't end until May 1st?
They'll be fishing.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we'll see. We'll find out if it makes a difference if they get through this.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll read some of these as we continue, man. Anybody else during the playoff that you've seen that has stepped up, that has balled out? I know Chicago was able to win a game.
Come on, man. Shout out to Chicago going ahead and beating Milwaukee. What's up, man?
You like that, huh? So that series tied at 1, right?
I think it's only two series that are 2 or 3 series that are sweeping. Everybody else got 1-1. They try to play
Denver's probably going to get swept.
And then
Toronto with all their injuries is probably going to get swept.
And then the Nets. I think that's it. Everybody else got at least a dub here.
2-0. Right.
Huh? Yeah. I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like that. So shout out to the whole NBA, man. If everybody coming out there. There's so much parity. If you look
the Heat, we're going to sweep the Hawks. That's tonight. We're up 2-0. We play again tonight in Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a couple more than I thought. But there's a lot of games where it's 1-1. But if you look at the way that the playoff race went, there's not that many difference in games between a cluster of teams. You know what I mean? There's 5 or 6 teams in there that are like 2 games apart. So I love it. Let's get out there and see who's going to go on and do something. Nobody looks at the number 1 seeds and thinks that they're the best team in the East or West, though, which is funny. Because the Suns are number 1, right?
Suns are number 1. That was with Devin Booker. He just hurt his hamstring. He might be out for this series, which I think puts them in a real tough spot.
It's tough.
A really, really tough spot because the Pelicans have been playing well. The Pelicans have been playing well. They fought to get in. They're in now. They're in.
They still don't got your boy, big boy.
Who's this?
What's his name? Zion.
Oh, yeah. Zion's not going to play.
But you talk. That's how much they don't have Zion. You like who are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly right. But the Pelicans have played well without him. And we'll see what.
Hey, James Critter, move on, man. Move on.
Yeah,
move on. Move on.
That's messed up. They keep talking about them fakers. For those of you who are just listening, man, we have someone going right at these Lakers as they should.
Move on.
But who else? I really like the Ja Morant and Memphis Grizzlies leading up to this point. And while they did win last night, going into the playoffs, I thought that they were going to come out the West. I don't know how anybody beats Golden State. When you got Steph Curry coming off the bench scoring 34 points because Jordan Poole stepped in and is playing unbelievable basketball. You still have Draymond Green who can defend anyone. Watching him defend Joker last night, I don't know how he does it, man. People are bigger than him. They're faster than him, but he figures it out.
That's because he don't care. It don't matter.
What you mean by that?
He just doesn't care. Like whatever he's like, it doesn't matter. That's what I keep hearing in my background when he plays. He don't care. He's one of those dudes where you don't like him. He's like Lambeer kind of. You don't like him. He's dirty. He just doesn't care. He just does whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, and he finds the right man to pass it to. He's the glue that sews all of that together, brings it all together. And you talk about intangibles, and Draymond Green has it. And then you add that to the fact Klay Thompson playing like Klay Thompson again. They can score so many points in so few minutes that it's tough to see. I don't know who could beat them, right? And that's without James Wiseman, their young prospect, 7-footer. That's without him in the lineup. Golden State, whatever their front office is doing, is pretty impressive.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it because it's like you get to this point like, wait a minute, Jordan Poole, you weren't supposed to be that.
Maybe the Lakers could hire their front office.
Yeah. And they got Jonathan Kuminga, another young prospect from the G League last year who can come in and defend basically 1 through 5 as athletic. Golden State looks like they're coming out of the West. But any other players you think of right now that has played well, and please chime in. I see my man Leon Wallace is talking about Embiid.
Joel Embiid.
We'll see what he does in round 2 because round 1, they are playing against.
How's Harden playing?
Harden is doing all right. Harden's playing okay. It's tough to tell because the Raptors are so banged up. Raptors are so hurt. And then Scotty Barnes, their rookie of the year candidate, got hurt. They've been really banged up, so it's tough to really get a good feel for what the 76ers are going to do in the playoffs. And I agree with you, Dennis Collins. He said you see where Ja gets it from because the dad is a absolute entertainment. He is absolute entertainment. Very fun guy to watch, going back and forth during the game on the sidelines. I'm going with the biggest surprise that I've seen in these playoffs to me was Jordan Poole. And I know he's had a good season, but to see that he continued it into the playoffs with Steph Curry back, it's been fun to watch, man. So I'm picking Golden State to come out the West. Please chime in for all our live audience members. Who do you see coming out of the East? Who do you see coming out of the West? And please speak with your head and not your heart. All y'all come on here to talk trash to me and Big Flo about your team. I could do the same thing because Miami looked darn good. We took Ice Trey, the little light-skinned dude with the nice pretty hair that blows in the wind.
Sound like you kind of favor him a little bit.
Yeah, I'm doing that before I say what I'm about to say. We made him look like Ice Punk. You can't do nothing against us. I know he did all what he did in the play-in game, but Ice Trey has become pedestrian against the Miami Heat. We have really put him in check. I think Miami comes out of the East, but I might be speaking with my heart and not my head. Who do you got coming out the East? Who do you got coming out the West? Should Boston. Be a good playoff run. Say again?
Boston.
You got Boston. Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure
I say Golden State is the team to beat in the West for sure. But the East is kind of up. I know we just can't just walk by the Bucks, huh? We just walk by the Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks did lose a player. I think Middleton got hurt. Middleton got hurt. That's a big injury.
Like Dun?
I don't know if Dun. I don't know how bad the injury is.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know how bad it is, and we ain't got research here to pull it up. I don't know.
We on a low budget.
The remainder of the first round.
Our payroll got cut in half.
I know. Sprained MCL, out for the remainder of the first round. It is an MCL. They say sprain instead of torn normally when it comes to MCL. Same thing, y'all. It's just different variations of an injury. But out for the remainder of the first round. So if Chicago can get their act together, who knows what'll happen, man? Who knows what happened? But that is a big loss. Chris Middleton, I think, was a big piece for them. He took big shots. He liked moments in the big moments, Chris Middleton was good for a shot that would either silence a crowd or extend a lead. He was good for that. So that is a big loss. I don't know who else, man. Who else was looking good in the playoffs before we get out of here? Since I was very extreme in talking about KD and Kyrie and the heat that they deserve, let's give somebody their praise. Who deserves their flowers in this playoffs? I'm looking for people, audience members, live audience members, please chime in. Who deserves their flowers in these playoffs? Let's tell people they are doing well while they're doing well. Tatum has played okay, but the Celtics have played more collectively. They played, I think, Jaylen Brown played good in game 2, but no real standouts. Their standout has been their defensive presence. Who else? Who else has played well in these playoffs? Let's give the people their flowers while they can still smell them before we move on. I'm trying to think of who else. Brandon Ingram. Yes, Brandon Ingram has played well. I'll give you that. What's up? And everybody going to call out people from their team, of course. Pelicans fans going to say Brandon Ingram. But Brandon Ingram has played well. Played smooth, too. Anybody else? Let me think. Anybody surprising us in this first round so far? No, not a lot of names. Not a lot of names. I tell you what, when it comes to those first two options with the Brooklyn Nets, the New Jersey Nets, whatever you want to call them, you got to step up because you can't trade those options. Those are the people that you need to show up and show out. Winning Time, this new documentary. Have you watched it? About your Lakers, not your Lakers. Your Lakers are I'm a
LeBron Laker.
You're LeBron Laker.
I like that, but you know what? I'll take it back. When it was Winning Time, I liked the Lakers. Back then, that was my team. Back when
the Lake Show. That was the Lake Show.
The Lake Show. I was a big fan. I took a break from the Lakers when Kobe was there.
While Kobe was there, you took a break.
Never was a Kobe fan.
All right, man. I'm not gonna let you chime in on that one because I don't want you to expand. A lot of us disliked him while he was living. He was challenging to like, so I get it. But now in his death, man, hopefully
I respect him. Let's take things. Sports got to go a certain way. I didn't like Kobe. You know, sports are supposed to move you emotionally. That's why they get so much money. People pay all this stuff to do it. So, but it's still in perspective. He's still a father. He still had a lot of stuff to offer the world, different things like that.
Right.
I don't, I wish death. I didn't if I met Kobe Bryant, I wouldn't like be rude to him. I wouldn't boo him. You know what I mean? If he was alive. I didn't like him as a Laker because he tried to be like Jordan too much, and that bothered me. But
he was very successful at it. You tried to be like Jordan too, might I mind you. You're from Chicago area. You tried to be like Jordan. At one point in your life, you tried to walk pigeon-toed and chew your gum to the side of your mouth and put your tongue out before to make a shot. You tried it. You just weren't successful.
I just wasn't any good at it.
I tried it too. Kobe just was better at replicating what he saw than
that was the reason why I didn't mess with him too much. And then I didn't want them to do what the Bulls did, the double three-peat. They almost did it, but they didn't. So that part's done. But I like the Lake Show. So back on this, it's a pretty good show. It's pretty well casted.
Okay.
There's a big beef right now because my man who's the logo, the NBA logo, what's his name?
Jerry West.
Jerry West is portrayed as a total dickhead on the show.
Really?
I never knew. Actually, I'd heard Jerry West has been banned from the Staples Center. And I'm like, damn, how do you ban this dude? Because sometimes you just look at things.
Not the Staples Center anymore. It's whatever. Crypto, whatever. But yes, that arena.
The Palace. So, whatever. He's banned from the stadium. And I'm like, how do you ban a Jerry West? But then you watch this show, he's such a dickhead in the show. And now he's suing them for the way he's portrayed.
He wants a public apology. And has his lawyers on speed dial.
But you know what? Doesn't that almost feed into it? Like, because in the show, like if you watch it, he's just a whiny jerk. He sucks. He was a player, he was a jerk. As a coach, he's a jerk. Then after he became a coach, they kind of made him like pseudo general. He stepped down. He's just a complete jerk in the whole thing. And him suing them for saying that goes like that's what you would expect.
Hand in hand, right? Yeah. This is what jerks do. Well, it doesn't bode well to be in certain positions when these documentaries come out. Because with The Last Dance, Jerry Krause seemed like a complete jerk.
Nobody liked him in real life, though. That was so normal. He didn't care. And he's used to it, so he didn't say anything.
Yeah, he was the guy that was on the outs when it came to the cool crowd for so long that he embraced it.
And
did well. Jerry West, I think, is new to the outs when it comes to the cool crowd. Jerry West was the dude. He's the logo.
He was a bully too. So when you think about it, he's one of those guys that people didn't like. Jerry Krause was like one of those little annoying dudes that he made his decisions, but you still gave him a wedgie. I mean, if you saw how they treated him on the thing, they disrespected him all the time, and he just took it. Jerry West will fight you. You know what I mean? Like Jerry West wasn't that kind of. So a lot of people, he probably doesn't realize how people feel about him because people was probably scared of him.
So this is a revelation to him. He's butt hurt by this because this is a revelation. He thought that he was entrenched seating. His seating at the cool table was perfectly set up. He'd be good forever. Everyone looked at him as something different than what is being portrayed now. So this is a revelation to him. This is why he's so big mad. He is big mad.
Big mad.
He wants a public apology, which you got to be mad to ask for that. Like, because, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know anybody that's been married for 3 minutes knows that public apologies just really don't happen. Like, you just got to.
Like, it just, okay, play that out for me. So you think that the people who wrote that thing are going to come out and say, sorry. We're sorry. He really wasn't the jerk that we said he was in the shut up. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? How does that play out in your head?
That was our creative license. We went a little further. He was not that bad. I don't know how
you sue people for defamation of character, but he's such a jerk. You got it's a good show. I didn't realize Kareem really was kind of a jerk. Did you know Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a jerk too?
I did not.
He's serious as hell. So I like it. It's entertaining and it's definitely giving me a different understanding.
Does this compare? How does this compare to The Last Dance for you in terms of documentary? I watched The Last Dance.
No, this is a documentary. This is a drama.
This is a drama.
So it's totally different. Yeah.
All right.
Totally
so maybe he's on to something then. The portrayal got too dramatic. That's what
it could be exaggerated. He's such a jerk. He's such a whiny little. Throws a fit all the time. Like, but so the thing is there has to be some truth to it, you would assume. Just like with Kareem. I always thought of Kareem as just like, I didn't really think about what his personality was. But Kareem was kind of a babe, like a diva type person. Like, it's a good show. If you haven't seen it, you guys should watch it.
I'll check it out, man. I have not seen it, and that's why I wanted you to convince me that it's worth the time. I don't watch TV, man. Anything TV is, I just don't watch it. But I will go check it out. For our live audience members, let us know how you like it. Winning Time. Is it a good show? Do you suggest it? For someone that is trying to decide how to spend his time, because I don't do a lot of TV time. Is this worth my time? Tell me why you like Winning Time. Do you think that they went too far? Does Jerry West have a point? He is the logo. Were they being disrespectful? Did they not realize that that's the logo? Please chime in and let us know what you think, so I can make that decision.
Definitely being disrespectful.
You say again?
Definitely they're being disrespectful.
Definitely, purposely so.
100%.
100%. Let's hop into a little bit of football, man. On this episode of options trading, there's a few options at quarterback that are in the limelight this week. The first option is Baker touchdown maker, that we have now changed to Baker turnover maker. It has been reported that the Carolina Panthers are the most likely destination for Baker Mayfield to get his services into the football season coming up, the 2022 football season. And when a Carolina Panthers fan posted that they are the most likely to get Baker, one of the wide receivers, Robbie Anderson, made his opinion known by commenting, and I quote, "No," with a whole bunch of O's and a whole bunch of exclamation point. All caps. When you go all caps with that many O's, so you want everyone to hear exclamation point with emphasis, that means that you really, really don't want that person at quarterback. Anybody
in case you're curious at home what that meant.
Right. That's the translation. That means nah, bruh.
I know he tends to get a little deep when he talks about options trading. And this one is kind of, it is what it is. Right. Don't want him.
Right. If you're buying or selling, he is selling. He is selling the idea that Baker is the right option. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going too far? Because Robbie Anderson, while he is a big part of what they expected to be offensively, had some great seasons with the Jets, he's had Pro Bowl seasons, at least one, and is a productive receiver for all intents and purposes. He is not the decision maker. But as a decision maker, right? You're an executive office, Suite A, and this is brought to your attention that your best wide receiver, one of your top receivers, has chimed in on social media, and he rejects the deposit. He does not want Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Does it impact your decision making?
I mean, kind of, right? First of all, Baker should throw rocks at him, right? Like, damn, dog.
On site, like, we gotta fight. Let's say if they do sign him, they've got to at least a squad. We got to at least wrestle. It ain't gotta be.
You're never getting
ball fist. We got to at least wrestle.
Never ever getting the ball. If we do play there, I'm not trying. Does Baker try to win him over or get him cut? He's got to try to get him cut.
I mean, I think Baker at this point in his career has to try to win everybody over because he's looked at as a locker room cancer now. He's the diva. He's the problem. So he can't do what probably needs to be done. But in football terms, soon as me and you see each other, we're going to at least have a disagreement on site. It ain't got to be physical, but it's got to be very loud. If it's going to be verbal, it's going to be a few expletives in there. I'm going to talk about somebody. Might not be your mama, but I'm going to talk about maybe your auntie. Somebody's got to get this heat. We got to talk to each other, bro. No, you got to it got to be all caps. No.
So yeah, on site for sure. I feel bad for Baker when it comes to someone to do that. Like, that's just so bad. But as an organization, if you consider this guy to be one of your top receivers, I guess, what did Christian McCaffrey say? I gotta ask, what was his take on it? Because for your receiver to say it publicly, I'm mad at him though. Like, why, man? Come on, man. Be more professional than that and not just come right out. But you can't get him now. Is he actually on the trading block? I thought they were going to keep him.
It's been, he didn't report this week. So when it comes to options,
man, the trade,
he was
sometimes
not.
You got to know when you're not in a negotiating room. When they pick another dude up in front of you, and people don't like you, whatever, and people are saying, please don't trade me, you're not in a position to hold out. You know what I mean? Come to practice.
Well, he's not necessarily a holdout. It's voluntary workouts. No one expected him to show up to a voluntary workout, given the recent events. But I don't know where he'll end up. What's up, Parnell? Thank you for chiming in, man. He says Carolina will probably take Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh in the draft, number 6 pick. But people take a college quarterback with very low expectations in year one, unless you just plan to have.
Unfortunately, there's an opening in Pittsburgh.
There is an opening in Pittsburgh, but we'll see. I know Trubisky. What's his name? What's your guy name? Trubisky.
That's the thing that's bad. Like, somebody banking this future on Trubisky, and Baker's like, I started last year, and
he started. Not only did he start, he was considered the franchise guy. Not only was he considered the franchise guy, the number 1 pick in the draft, but there are brands, there are companies that really believe in Baker. Don't believe me? Turn on the TV and sit through a commercial. Chances are, if you sit through any sequence of commercials, you'll see a Baker Mayfield commercial. So Baker had the confidence of both.
He had some good commercials too.
He got some good commercials, but now it's down to that. Basically, just the commercials. He does not have the confidence of that team. But not only Baker, you had Geno Smith was signed this week. You've got quarterbacks. We think that Baker is pretty certain that Baker will be in the NFL next year. He might be holding the clipboard, backing up Deshaun Watson. Who knows? We got a lot of Deshaun Watson news to still unfold before we know what happens in that quarterback room in Cleveland. But we know Baker's going to be in the NFL this year. We know that Geno Smith has got an opportunity. So it brings us back to what has now become a 5-year, 6-year conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Does Kaepernick finally get a chance to play? Does Colin Kaepernick, he went on I Am Athlete podcast this week, and I thought he did a good job of answering some questions. And we got that clip. We're going to run it for you. But is this the moment? Is this the moment that Colin Kaepernick finally gets a chance to play? While you think about it, hold on, let me run the clip while you think about it. Let me make sure I got the clip while you think about it. I don't know. Let's see. Let's run this clip.
From there. In one of his first interviews in years, Colin Kaepernick says he still hopes to once again be an NFL quarterback.
Do you want to play football?
Absolutely. I mean, that's without question.
This candid session takes place after the free agent quarterback had a training session with former NFL stars Chad Ochocinco and Brandon Marshall.
What you saw out here, that's 5 years of training behind the scenes to make sure I'm ready and stay ready at the highest level. You don't do that if you don't have a passion and you don't believe you're going to find a way on that field.
Kaepernick acknowledges that at this point, he'd sign as a backup.
I know I have to find my way back in. Okay. So, yeah, if I have to come in as a backup, that's fine. But that's not where I'm staying.
Kaepernick did secure one 2017 meeting with the Seattle Seahawks, but he's heard nothing in the 5 years since. He's even reached out to each team and participated in numerous public exhibitions. In his pursuit of a comeback, Kaepernick trained with Seattle wide receiver Aaron Fuller, through with current NFL players, even passing for scouts at the University of Michigan.
Let me come in, compete, show you what I can do.
The now 34-year-old is asking franchises and their GMs to see him as a no distractions team player.
The narrative was out there was, oh, it's going to be a media circus. What else comes with him?
Kaepernick helped carry San Francisco to the Super Bowl in 2013, but he's gone from player to activist, kneeling as the national debate over police brutality ignited and paid a price for his protest. Fans burned his number 7 jersey. Kaepernick hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL since the 2016 season, but he's been busy rolling out a Netflix series, Colin in Black and White. He landed a lucrative Nike ad, landed on the USA Today bestseller list as a children's book author, and stayed in shape for the possibility of a contract to come.
All right, man, let's hop into it. There's nothing else to say but to say it. Does Colin Kaepernick get a chance? He dealt with some, I think, major issues there. He talked about staying in shape. He talked about whether or not he was a distraction. He talked about when asked, they were doing some role playing. Not that kind of role playing, just, role playing in the sense that Chad Ochocinco was who was it? It was not Chad Ochocinco. I'm tripping.
Brandon Marshall.
The big receiver.
Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall was saying that he was the executive. He was asking Colin Kaepernick questions that the executive would ask, and they were doing role play. When asked about the idea of being a distraction in this simulation, in this role play exercise, he said, well, you got, in racism and Black Lives Matter written on your end zones. How am I a distraction? I should just be a furtherance of the agenda that you seem to be taking upon. So I gotta admit, man, and Chad Ochocinco and Brandon Marshall both admitted that from a pure basketball perspective, Colin Kaepernick blew their mind away.
Football.
Did I say basketball? That's because we were talking NBA. Sorry.
That's like,
you know what I meant.
Colin was in there.
Say what you mean what you say. You know what I
your
meant.
jumper was good, but this is a football team.
He might have a better chance in the NBA at this point.
Real talk.
So from a football perspective, they both were amazed that he was able to throw the ball so crisp. He says that, man, you got a great ball. Chad Ochocinco showed his fingers like, man, I messed up my finger. Chad Ochocinco is not the current NFL wide receiver, but he stays in shape too. And you imagine that he knows what a good ball, a nice crisp football coming at him. Still, I mean, he's not that far removed. You got all of these people that have worked out with him that have sang his praises. All right, man, because when you hear him, in that episode, ABC said he led his team to the Super Bowl in 2013. Like, that seems so long ago in football years.
Think about that. The coach that coached that team been with Michigan so long now. He tried to get back into the league. Like, so much has happened. COVID, Trump.
Does he have a chance? Simple and plain.
No.
Does he have a chance? I mean,
no, I say he does not have a chance, and I don't think right now, it's from an NFL standpoint, as he mentioned, they do have, end racism, Black Lives Matter written on the field. All the people that are anti-Black Lives Matter already stopped watching or watching in private, The they're going through a lawsuit right now with where the optics are bad. So from that standpoint, the NFL would be absolutely smart to try to bring him back and do whatever he's going to do. I think he's been quiet the last few years, so I don't think he's really as much there. How long was Michael Vick in jail? 3 years?
In jail itself, he wasn't.
How long was he out of football?
Yeah, I think he was out of football for 3 years, but he was not in jail. Yeah.
Came back and had a very productive career, but was never really quite the Michael Vick that he left as. He's been gone 6 years. They haven't thrown a pass in the NFL since the 2016 season. Who's ever done that? Who's ever come back and done it? Now, he doesn't have miles on him, and yeah, you could say he's better than all these people, but man, the rust. How long was what's his name out of the league who almost lost his leg? Smith.
Who are you talking about? Oh, Alex Smith. He wasn't out very long. He was only out
2-3 years.
Yeah, but
came
yeah,
back.
he wasn't.
And obviously, there's a difference there because he had a catastrophic injury. But like 6 years, I know he might still be in great shape. He might be able to still throw a nice ball. But man, you've been out the game for a while. I mean,
all right. So let's you and I do some role playing. Then you are a Chicago Bears fan. You just lost what was, I guess, your backup, who at one point was a starter. You've got a young quarterback that comes in, and Justin Fields is doing okay, but he's still young, still got a lot to learn, still got a ways to go in terms of his growth. You get an opportunity to sign Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick has now said that he's willing, which he did not say before, he's willing to play in a backup quarterback role. Would you, as a fan, like that move? As a Chicago Bears fan, would you like that move, them signing him as a backup?
So, am I keeping 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah. You don't have to get rid of anybody that's in your plans. So if there's a backup that you like, keep him.
Here's the thing. Is it worth a shot to see a workout and see what it looks like? It's definitely worth a shot. What does that cost you? Not much at all, right? So you bring him in for a workout. Yeah, I mean, there's some bad quarterbacks in the NFL, right? I could definitely see him as a number 3 for sure. Like, there's no risk in having him be as a number 3. He's got Super Bowl experience. He's been around. I think the distraction piece is over. I do think that there's people who are going to dislike it, but they don't like anything that has to do. If anyone who's going to turn it off probably turned it off, right? No one came back and ignores the black. I mean, some people think Black Lives Matter is a Marxist movement, and they're so deep into it and so anti it. If they're going to stop watching, they stop watching. But I think they're all liars. They watch anyway. I don't think he's that much of a distraction. He really hasn't said anything outspoken. I would probably ask him, though, if I was an NFL owner, like, are you going to be a sideshow? Because
how do you answer that, though? If you ask somebody that, the natural answer
what is your plan? Are you gonna come in here and, like, right now, I don't know if people are still kneeling or not, but if they are, no one's covering it. There's no attention to it. If he comes and kneels, there's going to be attention to it.
Do you think that's a fair question? As an executive, you and Colin Kaepernick sit down and you say, hey, man, I just want to know if the national anthem was played today, would you plan to kneel?
Right. I would ask him that question. That's a fair question.
You would ask him that question?
Yeah. Because as a third round, as a potential number 3, right? You're not first, second, and I don't want to answer any questions about the third quarterback on my team. Right? I don't want anything to talk about with third quarterback on my team. It has nothing to do with it. It is a distraction at some point. If he's going to come out there and he's going to do more activism, and again, I'm just being honest as far as the owner that are already under scrutiny for the black coaches and doing whatever. If you're going to come out here right now, we're not bringing in Colin Kaepernick thinking that there's a high likelihood he's going to help us really win. He's going to give us a chance. He's a how many rounds do you do in fantasy?
15 rounds.
He's a 15th round fantasy pick right now, right? You picking him up just in case he shows a little something and he get hot, you could throw him in there.
First of all, hey, don't help me participate with something like that. As I answered, I knew where you was going with that. I didn't want to be a part of that.
He's a 15th round fantasy pick. If you picking him up, he's been out of football for 6 years. He's not worth any distraction at this point in his career, right? Would you agree with that, or am I stretching too far? Because based off of what? Because he throws a couple balls in the practice? looks
well,
good.
I think that if you have a change, so the year that Baltimore was able to utilize RG3 in a backup capacity, and they did like some wildcat formations with him, I thought that was creative and
How long
innovative.
had he been out of football? 0 years.
RG3. I think he had spent half a year out, but not nearly. It doesn't compare to Colin Kaepernick. I'll give you that. But at the same time, RG3's knee was never the same. So physically, it doesn't compare to Colin Kaepernick either. Colin Kaepernick, when you look at these videos, and I've been trying to be as objective as possible with videos, he actually looks physically good.
Yeah, because he left the game after a surgery where he was skinny. Now he looks right.
He looks as though I want that person, that physical makeup would enhance my quarterback room. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think I would have that big of a deal with it. But I guess the real question is, right, because you asked, like, are you going to come here to be an activist? If you just Google Colin Kaepernick right now, the first thing that comes up describes him as an activist. The wiki page is activist, former NFL. And I'm not certain that when in this episode of options trading, I'm not certain that one necessarily has to be at the mercy and sacrifice of the other. Because in Generation Z, those two things now are happening simultaneously. Professional athletes are activists during their professional career. So what we looked at way back in our day, which at this point was 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. It at one point it looked as though you had to choose whether or not you're going to be an activist or a professional athlete. That I think the divide between those two things, that wall is eroding, and you can do two things at once when it comes to activism and being the best as a professional athlete. And so what used to be in our day, way back, what used to be a distraction, I'm not certain that's a distraction anymore. So I'd be comfortable.
So let me I agree with what you're saying there, but I would say this: like Colin Kaepernick could be playing everybody, right? You never know, right? You never know what his plan is and what he wants to go do. So if I'm the NFL executive, and I'm not speaking from my beliefs as Reggie Farima is what I think is right. What I'm thinking, if I'm an NFL executive, which now you got to make me a real old white dude, right? And so who's been under, you know what I mean, to be playing that role. I'm looking at saying, all right, well, if Colin's going to come in here, giving a guy a chance, there's very low likelihood that he's going to be successful, because it wasn't like this dude was Tom Brady when he left, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's 6 years removed from being, again, he was coming off of an injury, a decent quarterback, but he wasn't like MVP candidate when he left, fair, right? And still it's 6 years. Jordan took 3 years off, came back. Like, we keep comparing him to other athletes who've ever done it. 6 years is ridiculous, except for George Foreman. Really, nobody else has come back after big long layoffs and done anything substantial. So I would be thinking, I need to get some out of this, right? So you coming back here, all right, we've been trying to make some efforts, which I would say the NFL has been trying to make a few efforts to support the cause. Would you agree with that?
Yes. They've tried to take steps, but
to make some steps. They made some public stuff, threw some stuff in the end zone. Question the effect of that or whatever, but they've definitely,
made an attempt.
They said we were wrong about Colin Kaepernick. We handled it wrong. They tried to do different things. So for them, it would be humongous if Colin Kaepernick came back. It was like, if Colin came back and said the NFL started to make some moves, and I can appreciate the direction that they're going. We still got ways to go, but I like the way they're doing it. And because of which I'm not going to kneel anymore. Boy, would that go far, right? Would that make them feel like, man, that would take some of the heat off their back?
Yes, indeed. They would get the invitation to the proverbial barbecue cookout. They get the cookout invitation. NFL would get invited. Roger Goodell is at the spades table if Colin Kaepernick comes and co-signs it. I agree with you to a certain degree. Yep.
But he's never going to go for this. But theoretically, if they interview somebody and say, hey, listen, if we gave you an opportunity, you know what I'm saying? What can we get? Basically, what can we get out of this? If he's willing to do that, which he's not going to do, but if he's willing to do that, his ass is going to be in. Come on in here, buddy. See what we got. You're going to make somebody roster. But, I mean, there's the story. Right now, they don't even have to comment on Colin. It's been 6 years. No one even has to comment.
Yeah. I think Colin Kaepernick, and that's what you were talking about, whether or not he's going to come in and be outspoken. He wasn't outspoken during the time when the air quote collusion was occurring. Colin Kaepernick was the worst spokesman for Colin Kaepernick. Now, he did projects. He had the Nike effort. He's done things by way of social justice. But Colin Kaepernick was very silent when it came to
a lot.
And that was his choice. He chose actions as his means of activism versus words, versus, using a platform to say things that he wanted to be heard. He did things that he wanted to be done, which I respect. Is different than what we typically think of as an activist in that space, social justice space, because they're normally very outspoken. You're like the bullhorn is your weapon in activism. He chose a very different path. So I don't think that would be a far departure from what he's already done if he came in and was just chill. But if you're telling me, thanks, Glass Bart, he's not kneeling anymore, he just wants to play. This is where I start to question the activism. And I said this before, like, man, bro, just go. You're about to change the world. The heck with football. It's a Neanderthal sport that you and I happen to love. You and I happen to play. You and I happen to get our education by way of that Neanderthal sport. But it is no less of a Neanderthal sport just because we love it. Here you are as an activist, man, that has an opportunity to have impact on generations, right? Man of the Year, one of the publications. You're looked at in a completely different regard. Go do that, because we need more of that. But it's not my career to end. I always respected that he wanted to play.
I didn't.
I think this is where I would have a challenge.
I think he wants to play now, but I didn't think he wanted to play then. But I wonder why he wants to play now. Like, what's going on? Like,
I don't know. But
when he came back and did that workout thing, I thought there was a bit of sideshow in that,
But this show, you believe it now that he really wants to be signed.
I kind of feel like he does.
Me too.
And maybe he just seen all the bad quarterbacks. I lean more that way.
When
but the last time he did, I felt like he just wanted to be back in the eye. He wanted, like, we what you want to do when you want something, right? You get in trouble with your wife and you want to come back home. You know what you do, man. You put your tail down, come in here, you pick up the clothes.
That's why I wouldn't want to see this, though. Would you want to see that? Like, if he had to tuck his tail,
I don't think that he would do that.
I see what you're saying.
Because you're not going to be a starter. I mean, like, let's take everything about Colin Kaepernick's social aspect out of it. He's not going to come back and start in the NFL unless something crazy happens. He's going to get a game or two here.
That happens all the time. Something crazy happens all the time.
He'll get a couple games in here as a starter. He'll be like one of them dudes, the journeyman like the Bears had. They moved around, and he'll get a couple games. Or he'll be what's his name? What's that dude with the beard? He went to the Ivy League school.
Fitzpatrick.
Who?
Brian Fitzpatrick.
Brian Fitzmagic.
You better not disrespect Fitzmagic like that. He gonna be more like a Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph got his head bopped because he shouldn't have been on the field. But that's why I say crazy things happen all the time. Mason Rudolph was the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he had no business being the starting quarterback. And what happened?
I'm not going to put Kaepernick in that thing where he's just no business. That's why I say Fitzpatrick, because Fitzpatrick gets a couple starts in, then he's not the starter. Then he moves around. There was another dude, a light-skinned cat that used to get that all the time, who's in the NFL. He'll be one of those dudes where he'll be around for a while.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, Charlie Batch. Yeah, exactly him. Charlie Batch. Yeah, Charlie Batch getting around like. Look, that's Charlie getting in the game again. Look at Charlie playing. Mama didn't even know he was on that team. You know what I mean? But he ended up starting.
Oh, that's what you doing out there in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Who knew?
Charlie Batch. Okay, I like this cat. I love it, though. You quick, though. You got the names. You know exactly what I'm talking about, so that means you agree with me because it's not hard for you to figure out what I'm talking about.
I don't know about Kaepernick, though. But
let's say that I think, he might do it, but he's not coming back to it. So you are to your point, if it's about, like, your position on earth, right? Like, as an activist, you've moved a lot. You started a movement. You've created change. You've changed a lot of people's mind.
Yes.
to come back and play football and not be an activist on the field anymore, you're kind of walking away. There's a lot of people going to think that you sold out, right? But for what?
I would think that.
Yeah,
like that. I left that comment up on the screen for a reason. Glass Bart, thank you, bro, again for participating. Says Kaepernick is not kneeling anymore. He just wants to play. So if you're telling me that wanting to play means you have to then undermine why this whole thing started, because by way of, look, somebody just got killed on video by a police officer shot in the back last week. So when it comes to the injustices and the encounters that brown and black people have had with our police, and I'm just trying to remember the jargon that he used initially when describing why he was taking a knee, we're not in a place such that change is no longer needed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're telling me that in order to play, he has to say, I'm not taking a knee,
I'm going to walk away from all that to be a clipboard guy.
Then I'm like, it's even more so. And again, like Colin Kaepernick is too young for me. I'm just going to make it about me to put the whole weight of social injustices and racial injustices on his back. So I'll say that before I say the next thing, right? Because I've been tough on him. Like, dude, you got a platform now, man. Rock with it. Like, you can go change the world. This football stuff, while we love commenting on it here at the Ball Hog Sports Talk, while we love to watch it, preferably for me with my feet up, eating some salt and vinegar potato chips and drinking some beer, while we love to coach it. You have coached at the youth level, and I continue to coach at the youth level, while our kids are part. We love the game of football. All of that is true, proven. It pales in comparison to the impact that that young man can have on this world. But I just don't know how to tell anybody to be an activist. I've never been one. Mm-hmm. In that regard, where the entire world is looking to me, listening to my words, trying to figure out, what should the next move be. Colin Kaepernick literally could have went outside like Malcolm X, put his hand up and did this, and people would have been walking from the streets of Detroit to wherever, following behind this man. To leave that, just to be in the locker room,
to hold a clipboard,
he's got to love the game. Then that's undeniable. Because
that's where I start going back to, like, maybe this is a trap. Maybe this is a trap.
Maybe he's fooling us.
Maybe it's a trap, because as we talk through it right now, it doesn't make any sense.
None of it makes sense to me. None of it makes. So you want to now give that up to go to off-season workouts. You want to get into you want to get into 2-a-days in order to have the pressure of making a roster, to hear some man yell at you who his own wife don't listen to him. You got people in different continents listening to every word that you speak. But you have to listen to some man who he comes to work just to get his frustration off a lot of times. Some of these NFL coaches. It just don't make sense.
Let's Scott Bibb, I want to address your comment. So go back to Scott Bibb, please, if you can.
Okay.
So he said he should be allowed back even if he wanted to still kneel, but it is a business. Now, again, I'm not trying to change my name to Tom in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, I just look at this objectively. Like, allowed is one thing. I mean, it's 6 years. The collusion thing has been settled, right? They paid him for that. So he had been blocked.
Some say, and I might be a part of that, some that he sold out there with that settlement because he didn't make them open up their books. But I digress. Move forward. Go ahead. Sorry.
That was still early. He hadn't got the Nike contract yet. I don't think he had to make some bread. He needed to eat. He needed to make sure he was good. And he put that money to good use. We've been doing stuff with that money. So get him a little bit of a pass. But, like, should he be? I mean, if you think about the NFL is under fire for this coaching thing. They're going to flip it they're doing an investigation now with the Cleveland Browns because of the throwing the game. So they're going to do what they got to go do there and try to do it. But when it comes to the whole kneeling, Black Lives Matter thing, they kind of got that part of it a little bit under control. Like, it's settled a little, right?
Right.
So why would you bring back the person? Just as a business thing, why would you bring back that person that you think is only going to be a clipboard guy anyway, Why would you bring him back into the fold and unsettle the thing when you have this other thing looming? But the part that he was doing, you came back. You still got the white people that are watching that are kind of anti Kaepernick, kind of got over it because Kaepernick's gone. You know, they're getting over it. They seeing the Black Lives Matter in the end zone or whatever. They're kind of probably looking past it. They don't make a big deal about the national anthem. Never really used to be on TV too tough anyway. Really, usually just
it wasn't a big thing until someone said
Kaepernick, right? It wasn't a big thing, but like all of that has kind of been bottled up a little bit, right? Why would you invite that person back when the upside to that is so limited, and the downside maybe nothing and maybe huge? Just from a business standpoint, who would do that for a guy that's been gone? Because no one has ever done it before where you've been gone 6 years and come back and you're some sort of an impact player. So you have such a limited upside. Why would they do that from a business standpoint? I can't imagine it unless he's willing to do some shit that would piss everybody else off that supported him and say, look, I'm going to come back. I'm going to say we shouldn't be kneeling no more. Well, why would he do that?
Or maybe those people forgot about it too. I mean, look, what I will say, I'm with Cap, that hashtag. People that ride with Cap, they're going to ride until the wheels fall off.
Not if he comes back there and does some monkey shit.
If he gets back on the team, I'm buying the jersey immediately. There are some commercial reasons for why the NFL would want to have Cap back. Because just like Nike cashed in on the movement that was Cap, the NFL could as well. His jersey would sell out immediately. I don't care who he played for. He could he could be the first
even if some quarterback buy it just to burn it. But yeah, you're right.
It would sell out, right? Wherever, he could be number 99. It don't matter. Like, I ain't never seen a quarterback wear number 99. Oh, that's a new thing, man. Cap is changing the game. And they would buy the jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some commercial opportunities that might make sense. I just, from my standpoint, and look, I sit here, I get to co-host a podcast in a nice climate-controlled room. So
with a handsome co-host. Not many people.
Let's keep on going. We're gonna keep role playing. You the old white man. You the owner, man. You wouldn't be saying that. And being a old white staunchy conservative owner, man, you need to take that Biggie picture down too. Biggie, give me one more chance. Biggie, give me.
I'm still, hey man, if anybody's a fan of the show can find me a Coogee sweater in the triple XLT, let me know. I want to rock that for sure.
And let me know too. I just want to know where you find that now. Where do you find a Coogee sweater?
You can find a Coogee sweatshirt, big triple XLT. I'm good.
But man, it's just interesting, man. I please continue to chime in as you guys think about it. We saw Kaepernick. We saw what he said about his response to what would be the simulated owner and the conversation they would have. I just don't. I don't get it, man. I wish I did, and I do support Cap's willingness to stand up, or in this case, kneel for what he believes in. I've always supported that. I supported the people, because he gave the people what they want. People's response to Kaepernick, I think, amazed me just because it showed just how big of a void we have in our community for true activists, right? And that generation especially. It was flammable. People caught on quickly to I'm with Cap because, I mean, who were the other activists in the community that were standing up and speaking out for issues that were particular to communities of brown and black people?
LeBron, that's about it.
You got LeBron, okay. There ain't a ton of people, right? Al Sharpton and my man Reggie, look, Jesse Jackson. I almost say Reggie Jackson. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are icons, but I would say Generation Z does not connect with them as well. So when Colin Kaepernick became Colin Kaepernick, it was just amazing to see how quickly people use it as a lightning rod and got behind him. So I don't know, man. I do think people should have the life of their dreams. And if in his dream lifestyle, when he envisions it, if going under center, if sweating and scratching and fighting in a hot summer sun in training camp with no job security whatsoever, if that's in his dream, then by all means, man, rock out. I don't see it. And I love the game. Love the game. But you can get paid with your feet up, my brother, having a lot more impact. So we'll see, man. Over under, man. What did you say the percentages is? Let's handicap it. What is the percentage that you will see Colin Kaepernick in an NFL uniform, if not this year, ever again? Because it seems like he's committed to getting there, and I do put my money behind his commitment. But I have to reconcile that with the NFL team's willingness to give him an opportunity. What would you handicap it? Odds that Colin Kaepernick will ever, let's not put it just this season, because we're getting to that point in the season where if it hasn't happened, it might not happen. But ever be an NFL uniform again. Give me a percentage. What would you say?
I guess first thing I would say is what teams are most likely to give him a chance. I would say the Steelers. I would say.
Well, the Steelers have an opportunity now.
They have an opportunity now. They just brought your boy in. They could go all in and just push their chips and say, we with y'all, right? So from a standpoint of making a statement, I think the Steelers would do it. I could see the Bengals doing something like that. Cleveland, the Raiders. Maybe right now I could see the Texans just made a move to cover up.
Why not Carolina? Carolina's thinking about Baker Mayfield.
Carolina. So based on that, I'm just going to use those guys and put them at 50 chance of doing it. So I'm still going to put them in the 20-25% chance.
All right, that's pretty high. So you're telling me I got a chance. I'm going a little lower than that, man. I said there's probably a 2% chance that it ever happens again, because so many different conversations have to happen in order for this to manifest itself. And those conversations normally would end with your rhetorical question and mine as well, but from a different perspective. Same rhetorical question. Why would we go through all of that for the third
for a clipboard guy?
Yeah. So we shall see, man. Other options, man. In this episode of Options Trading, there are other options now in football. One is the fan control football. T.O. scored his first touchdown in fan control football. Did you love it? Did you like it? What's up, baby? T.O. is back. If T.O. is back, why not Colin Kaepernick? T.O. at the right age of 48 years old caught a touchdown in fan control football. Come on, baby. Give it up for T.O.
Dancing with the Stars wouldn't let him back on. I mean, what's up? I mean, I don't know. He's too old to be out here doing this stuff, man. We
got the XFL still. They plan to open the doors back in 2023, so you got that. But the USFL, United States Football League, after decades of being dormant with the name, they are back, and I have looked at some of it. I think it's been pretty good football, man. Pretty good football. So football is making sure that you have your options. There's also another football story that is about options, and it is a charity golf outing that will feature Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers representing generation. Well, one's a millennial, maybe. No. Is Tom Brady millennial? 40,
Tom
45?
Brady's in our generation.
I think he might be generation.
You're not a millennial. You're a Gen X.
Gen X. Sorry. You're a millennial?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm a baby boomer.
You're a baby boomer. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry.
I don't know what
I'm Gen X. Oh, it's Gen X, then millennial, then Gen Z. Yeah, so he's Gen X. All right. So Gen X is Tom Brady. Is Aaron Rodgers is probably millennial. He's a few years younger.
He's a millennial.
But you got him versus Generation Z, I think. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Playing in a charity golf outing. And this is why I have my son learn how to play quarterback. Quarterbacks, man, they just live it up, man. They get to chill with each other, play. Who you got, man? Who you think wins that charity golf outing? Josh Allen and Tom Brady been going at it on Twitter. They're actually pretty funny, man. Who do you think wins that? 2 versus 2 charity golf outing. I don't know their handicaps, but I imagine they're pretty good because quarterbacks don't have to actually practice. They be chilling.
I would say Tom Brady because I hate the Packers.
Yo, man. So back in my day when the NFL training camp was literally torture, and you had 3 practices in some days, and I always describe my NFL years as I was on a 53-man roster. I was 53 and a half. I was always on my way out, always just trying to hold on. But in this particular training camp, I'm in Green Bay, man, and I'm doing very well at camp, but that requires you to really bust your butt. Like you my life was surrounded by knowing every position on every play. So between practices, I'm still in the playbook. I'm looking at film, and Brett Favre took a liking to me, man, and we got to be pretty cool. And I remember one day, man, we had a special teams practice. And it was after I had a great practice that morning. We had a special teams practice, so I'm trying to learn what special things the Gunners have to do. And I seen Brett walking out of the facility. I'm like, hey, man, you heading over to the special teams practice? He looked at me with such a look of disdain. He's like, man, I'm about to go golf. What are you talking about? Between practices. And it was my first taste of, it's two different NFLs within the NFL. It's the have and the have-nots. Let me take my broke trying to make a team, no money, nothing in my account but to this practice while that man goes and golfs. But that's why quarterbacks are pretty good, because they get to golf during training camp. So I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, because they've had more training camps with more golf than the other two, just being older. That's what I think wins it. We shall see. Should be a good charity event. TNT, man, the rich get richer, man. Nationally televised charitable event.
And you gonna watch?
I'm gonna watch. I can't wait. June 1st. Can't wait. Cannot wait. I am going to watch. All right, so at this minute, man, the 126 mark is when we're going to do this, man. Well, let's do this NIL conversation, because in options trading, this episode, we're going to talk about NIL. And the name, image, and likeness world has changed significantly by way of legislation. It's been embraced by colleges, embraced by the NCAA to a certain degree, but it has also been embraced by families, sports families that for the longest time have questioned why you can spend so much time, make so many sacrifices, take so many risks in the way of injury, in the way of not being able to do summer jobs and make money. Why college players have not been able to tap into the value that is so clear. Name, image, and likeness is to the rescue to answer that. And each one of these schools, I think, understands, especially let's talk about football to start, when it comes to recruiting, how big of a role name, image, and likeness and the opportunities that the players get at these respective college programs, how big of a role that plays into recruiting. Enter the new world of collectives. I'll let you describe collectives, because you are not only a former player, but you've recently gone through the recruiting process with your son, who was a top prep star, ended up signing a what do they call that? Full board. What do they call that? Grant aid letter to Northwestern, be playing in a Big Ten program. So you understand much better than I do. And so give me, if you will, just a rundown on this whole concept of collective, because Notre Dame now has entered this world of collectives by way of Brady Quinn. So if you could, for our audience, just give us just your understanding as a father that has someone just recently recruited, a son now that is playing in the Big Ten. What is this new concept of collectives as it pertains to name, image, and likeness deal?
So taking a step back, I mean, basically name, image, and likeness, because the NCAA was lazy about it and decided that they would throw it to Congress, and Congress threw it back to them. They just said, all right, fine, anything goes. So as long as they're getting paid from somebody who's not directly from the school, they can get paid for anything, right? Mm-hmm. So these collectives are somewhat of call it like a hedge fund or something of interesting parties that are going to be within an organization. So for Notre Dame right now, Brady Quinn has started a collective. There's a guise of charity over the top of it. I don't know. There's going to be some parts of it that don't make sense to anybody else, but rich people like yourself might decide
when he says yourself, he's talking to maybe the poster behind
the Dapper Dan. We put in however much they're going to put in, raise a fund. So, for instance, let's go Texas A&M. They had a collective that raised $30 million, and they said we're going to get the #1 recruiting class. So they take those And what they do, since they're not going to say, here's some money to come to the school per se, but the collective from the school is going to buy the name Bobby Brown, right? And Bobby Brown, now you basically, like Shaquille O'Neal doesn't own his name. There's a lot of celebrities that don't own their name. They sell their name, image, and likeness rights to someone else. And then that person takes that and markets him out and says, you owe me 10 appearances, 2 commercials, this, that, and the other. You can say no 3 times, one of those type of things. So these collectives are going out and signing and taking people's names. What protects them for is because, everyone say, well, I can get all this money, I can leave. They'll give them a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract. They pay them monthly. They may include, travel for the parents. It may include, a free car on campus. It may include hotel rooms for parents. There's a lot of different things that can get perks that are involved in that. But that collective signs your name so that if you were to transfer, they would just still have your rights at the new school. So if you're at Notre Dame and then you transfer to Michigan, now these Notre Dame people are just going to be marking you towards Michigan people or doing whatever. Right. But it gives people the opportunity to get around. Like, why are you giving somebody, now people are getting, there's the Tennessee quarterback, $8 million contract. People don't believe it, but it's true. $8 million contract for 4 years of football.
And that's the kid they just signed out of California, allegedly.
Allegedly signed out of California or whatever. He committed or whatever. But these guys are getting the contracts and they're signing them now. And, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So you're going to get family members get different things. So it's a huge.
All the illegal stuff, all the stuff that back in the 80s and 90s was looked at as you wouldn't dare speak about it publicly. And you shouldn't allow it to happen because it could jeopardize your eligibility and cause your team to forfeit games. You could get the death penalty when it comes to NCAA sanctions. All of those things, like you just described something that sounds like we revisited that time and said, wait a minute, all of this under the table.
Which kills me about how LSU had that big problem where they fired the coach and everybody transferred. I'm like, are you the last person to get NCAA violations? Like,
right,
everything's legal now. So here's the problem. I think we're going to run into in football, which I worry about. My son's in the Big Ten now. He's at a very highly academic institution, Northwestern. The Northwesterns, the Stanfords, the Notre Dames of the world. What's the school now? Vanderbilts of the world, right. Dukes. These are elite universities that feel like, hey, you should be honored when they change the school. They don't, they don't really have all the upper echelon perks. I mean, Notre Dame's got decent facilities now compared to most of these places, but for the most part, you're banking on education and some good, good Power 5 football, but there's a lot of sacrifices that you're making from a perk standpoint. A lot of these different schools are doing different things. And because these guys, especially the northern schools, have not been, giving away the bags of cash and money the way some of these southern schools have been doing it for years and years and years, now that it's legal, these people already have their collectives in place, right? They've been doing bags for a long time. Up north, it's not really going down like that at large places. So I fear they have no idea what they're up against. So some of these big
you and I disagree with some of that because I told you I think there are examples in Ohio State, in the north, where they have tried to take an example from SEC schools and be just as forthcoming with perks that might at one point have been considered illegal. Ohio State. And I think that they'll transition very well into this new frontier.
And after that conversation, I will concede that you're probably right on that. But I would say if you take the average Big Ten school, let's grab an Indiana or a Purdue or an Iowa, or I go down not to insult, but just to say like the middle guys, not the
Illinois, right? There's a lot of stuff. Nebraska, Maryland, Rutgers. So
I think a lot of those schools, in their mind, they're thinking, hey, we're gonna do this thing big. We're gonna get these kids $10,000, $15,000. They're gonna be thrilled. They don't realize that there's people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, because I think some of these guys are already giving those kind of bags out, $200,000-$300,000 bags under the table, and it's just been kept so hush hush that now that they're thinking, how are we going to pay these guys? So that what I worry about for college football. Look, who's the maddest right now is Nick Saban is probably one of the maddest people and outspoken. Why? Because he had football on lock until he decided he wanted to give it back. Nobody was going to unseat Nick Saban. The machine was too great. This is the only thing that can unseat Alabama. Unless, not to say Alabama won't step up, but unless they step up, and even if they do step up, when a kid goes to a school right now and says, you know, right now your son is committed to go to Penn State, and then that's a great academic school for you guys. It's close to the house. You're ready to go. Tomorrow, somebody calls you up and says, you know what? We're going to give you a 4-year, $1 million contract to come to, you know, Wyoming or some other place that's not ever on your radar. $1 million is $1 million, right?
Yeah.
They're
and
good.
with time value of money, take that money right now and invest it, young man.
Yeah. Take that, and then if you can just don't graduate and then pay that last year to go to that good school you wanted to go to, transfer in there and graduate. I mean, you can find ways to be successful otherwise. So my point is, the people that are going to Bama because they think they're going to win a national championship and they can get, you know, a ticket to go to the NFL are going to say that talent's going to get split up. Those guys are going to get bought. Everybody's going to have their 5-star. Not everybody, but a lot of teams are going to have their 5-star guys, and they're going to start picking away. The people that just said, de facto, I'm going to Bama because I'm the best. I want to make the $1 million contract in the league. They're going to take their chances and see if they can make their $1 million contract in college and then multi-million-dollar in the league. So it's going to be there, and there's going to be a lot of schools that are going to take years or may never catch up. The attitude in the North is not the attitude in the South when it comes to football.
The numbers that we're talking about. Thank you for that. The Big Flow Show, man. Again, because you've recently experienced it, and I think that you're a much more dialed into this than most of us because you're living it. You're seeing it right now. You're hearing.
We're not living the collective. There is no collective.
But not.
Although
not
there
yet.
could be, because I don't know that there's that many schools that have.
I was going to say not yet. But it seems as like Notre Dame, because you put Notre Dame in a category with Stanford and UVA and Vanderbilt and Duke, right? If Notre Dame's in there and Northwestern's in there, and Notre Dame, by way of this new partnership led by, I don't know if led by, but at least supported by Brady Quinn, this just might be the beginning. Those schools have to turn on the light too when it comes to being involved in what name, image, and likeness and the evolution there too looks like, or else you lose. And I think with the collectives, while being an outside source of people bringing the pools together, I think that's where, for me, I was afraid it was going to go with the NCAA punting. I've said it on this show. I think name, image, and likeness is good because athletes get to tap into some of that value. But at the same token, I think it was the NCAA punting from the reality that the institutions themselves need to share and need to share the profits. All this did was bring on a third-party payer by way of a brand, or in this case, you know, a subsidiary that is going to agree with the brand, the collective, right? It just brought on third parties, whereas the institution is still shunning its, my humble opinion, responsibility to share the profits. And what this does is it makes you an independent contractor and have a relationship with a brand or with a collective that is separate and aside from your obligations of school. And it's just another distraction from the schooling part. And the more and more we move away from the schooling part, the more this is indeed the minor leagues.
Absolutely.
And for most people in the collegiate sporting world, it's a minor league that doesn't have a very certain professional outlet. Most of the athletes in college aren't going to end up in a professional league that is going to pay them handsomely or beautifully such that they don't have to work again. So that's where my issue was from the beginning. I think it's going to be more and more money put into youth sports, because now if I think of college not as the ticket to a world of education, a world of opportunity, and then in the most extreme situations, you know, a ticket to NBA or NFL or whatever, Olympic future. Now that value proposition has changed significantly. Now, getting to college itself is the lottery ticket. So what is that going to do? More and more money is going to be spent in the youth sports world.
You know, one thing that we have to look at, there's two things happening at the same time. The transfer portal is changing high school recruiting immensely, right?
Absolutely.
So there's going to be much smaller classes of kids, but it's going to be such an elite talent pool that gets that first bite to come to the Power Five that those kids are going to get money, right? So a lot of time those kids are going to get paid. The classes may only have 10 or 15 kids. People are going to have to siphon their way at the bottom of the funnel. And I don't mean that in a derogatory form, just kind of literally you're going to have to work your way up through the ranks. You may have to start D2, you may have to start FCS and work your way, or you may have to start, group of 5 to get to Power 5. Everyone's going to maybe start. Some of these people are going to have to start down a notch to move up, but the elites at the top are going to have roses. They're going to eat. So, I mean, that's the question. That's the thing that's going to be interesting. Name, image, and likeness, and transfer portal at the same time. They're affecting this from both ends, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Time will definitely tell, man, and that'll end name, image, and likeness. Well, so I'll end this segment with this because we've got the collectives, but J.R. Smith, who we know made close to probably $70 million or so in his NBA career, just got signed. We know he is a golfer for North Carolina A&T down in Willingboro, North Carolina. Messed up the city. He just got signed by Lululemon. He's their first male golfer to endorse that brand. So several opportunities. Ohio State, the quarterback and the wide receiver just got signed by a retail outlet. I can't think of what it was. Not is it Express? One of the retail outlets as a style ambassador. They both are now considered style ambassadors. You have John Daly and his son just got an NIL deal. John Daly's son, I think, is a golfer for Ole Miss. I know he's in SEC, Arkansas. They just got signed to do a deal with Hooters. But the more money that's in the pot, when you look at these name, image, and likeness deal, I think that's going to translate to more money in the plot, if you will. And the plot itself is that all of these parents think that their kid is going to end in riches. So you're going to see more insane behavior at these tournaments. You're going to see more insane amounts of money being spent on training. You're going to see more helicopter moms and dads that really look at the sport as a vehicle to riches. So in this episode of Options Trading, man, the options to make it big, the options of the exchange between coach and parent and what that looks like, I think are going to also undergo an interesting new dynamic with name, image, and likeness. And we'll leave it there. Let's get on to a few more topics in the lightning round, man. Errol Spence beats Yordanis Ugas, and I think dislocated his eye socket. And Errol Spence Jr., we've known as a powerful puncher. I think right now he's number 4 on the pound for pound list of fighters. It looks as though we're on a crash course for him to finally fight Terrence Crawford. And I guess the question for me, and we'll address it quickly because we're going long today, but the fact that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. have not fought yet seems baffling. But I think that's the way the boxing world is set up on the business end versus UFC, where it doesn't matter how many losses you have. When it comes to boxing, one loss could do you serious damage. Now, the number 1 fighter on that pound for pound list right now, the number 1 fighter is our man Canelo. Canelo Alvarez is the number 1 fighter on the pound-for-pound list, and he did have a loss, a very notorious loss against Mayweather. People have written it off as he wasn't ready yet. But we've seen how a loss can derail a boxer's career, whereas in UFC, you're expected to lose because you're fighting against the best. Just from a comparison standpoint, the business model, which one do you think has it right? Is it boxing that keeps us salivating and waiting on that fight? Because I feel like Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford is the new version of waiting on Manny Pacquiao to fight Floyd Mayweather. Is it boxing that they always have us waiting, man? Just, man, I can't, when they gonna fight? Or is it UFC? Where you're going to fight the best all the time. You're going to take some losses. You're going to take some lumps. They're going to see the best UFC fighters fight against the best UFC fighters. They're comparing, different styles, grapplers versus boxers. They're putting the best in the ring and calling it UFC number whatever. Whereas in boxing, man, we wait a lifetime to see some of these fights. Sometimes we wait so long that the boxer's out of their prime, a la Manny Pacquiao.
I think UFC is easily a better product right now than boxing, and it has been for quite some time. And I'll say this for that. If you watch a UFC fight, if I have a fight coming on, and I don't really watch it, I know Sheldon Jordan is a really big UFC fan. I know he goes and watches them live. If I watch a UFC fight, and I get it, I'm watching from the undercard to the main event. If I watch boxing, I'm flipping back and forth until the main event comes on. I have no interest in undercards whatsoever, unless somehow I knew a dude or heard of a guy that's going to be out there. I don't want to watch it. That proves right there it's a much better product. From a business standpoint, boxing has it right from this standpoint is they have found a way to build so much suspense into each fight that we will wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait years after years and become a $250 million per person fight between two people, and then the fight will suck. And then when they do the rematch, we'll wait and wait and wait, and we'll pay again, and they'll get the same payday because we hope that it was better than the last one. UFC runs through their fighters. If you think about the UFC guys, their runs don't last very long. No. Even what's the Irish dude that was out there? McGregor. I mean, boom, his run wasn't really that long if you think about it. He came, he cashed in, he did but now
I thought Ronda Rousey's was going to last forever. Her run wasn't even that long.
You say because so from a standpoint of the product they're putting out there, they're making the fights happen. They're supposed to happen right away because they're chewing through those fighters, and they're going to go get another couple fighters. There's going to be another greatest ever coming up. And I think maybe that's what kind of lost me. Just time comes on. You don't have time to go watch everything you want to watch. But I think they just run through their fighters. But boxing has found a way to con America for years, or con the world for years with hype and bringing so much out of each little event. Right. But I think UFC's got it right because the sport itself is just more enjoyable at a low level than boxing is at a low level. At the very highest level, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, that fight has more enjoyment than the best UFC fight. But if you take the average Friday night fights that's on ESPN, I'll take UFC over that all day long.
I'm asking our live audience, please weigh in. When it comes to option trading, that option that we have always had and always held on to, boxing being sort of a staple to the sports world and the communities and barbershops. Think how many arguments have been had about a boxing match, an upcoming boxing match, a hypothetical match that we wanted to see. Think about just the options now of UFC. Are you trading in the option of boxing for that of UFC? Is the product better? Is the competition better? Do you like seeing the best fight the best regularly versus wishing upon a star and hoping the stars align, hoping the promoters somehow cross each other's path and make the fight happen? That has been the calling card of boxing for so long. Which option are you guys going with? Is it boxing or UFC? Just really curious. So please chime in. All right, let's get into ownership, man, before we get out of here for the day, because Marshawn Lynch, who I love, and I had to repurpose a clip of him talking about how he takes a shot of Hennessy. He used to take a shot of Hennessy before every game. Tough. That's tough. A funny exchange with him and Peyton Manning. He says a shot. He's like, a shot of what? Gatorade? A shot of Gatorade? Nah, a shot of Hennessy. Duh. Marshawn Lynch is you talk about somebody reinventing himself. But him and Macklemore are now on the short list. and I think I don't know if the deal is done already, but they are trying to be minority owners in NHL Seattle Kraken, which I think is cool. You got Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams trying to be minority owners in Chelsea, the soccer franchise, which I think is cool. And it's good to see, man. But as Jerry West has shown us with all his bitterness this week and how he's depicted, you got to be when you wear that owner hat, man, you got to be careful. People don't like you as much. They're going to talk about you. And I wanted to ask your opinion about this Clayton Kershaw thing on his way to a no-hitter. I don't know if it's going to be a perfect game, but they withdrew him. They took him out of the lineup early in the season. I know that we've talked about this load management in basketball. It was its own form of load management for a pitcher early in the season. Am I old, man, and thinking that you leave him in there? Am I old and thinking that load management is like
how
and
bad
I know
could the
people
load
just
be if he was throwing a perfect game?
Say again.
How bad could his load be if he was throwing a perfect game?
Well, you got the velocity and still gonna be where they do pitch counts. So,
but how many? If you struck everybody out or whatever, how many pitches could you really have thrown unless it was a bunch of foul tips?
I just feel like we outdated, man. Generation Z, like it's moments like these where I'm like, and Kershaw signed off on it. I thought that he was gonna be the one most upset by it. He was like, "No, I totally get it." Like,
it's early, man. It's early, and you know what? If somebody chasing a perfect game right now, it's still cold out, and you got 162 games, and he's cold out, and chased a perfect game, and he ends up throwing his shoulder out, and he missed the whole season because they was chasing some. I get it, man. I think you live and learn, man. As time goes on, I'm with you. I'm old school. Let's go see this perfect game, get an opportunity to do it. But realistically, man, sports, you got to manage these assets, man, that you got. People, we can't wear them out. So who cares? It's baseball. Who cares?
In this episode of Option Trading, I like how you did that, manage the assets. I'm going to go ahead and use that double entendre for our episode. I'll look through a few of these comments before we get out of here, man. Oh, yeah, it's a great question. You better not say no names on live, though. The question by one of our old teammates. What's up, Leon Wallace, the 88 Club, baby?
Waldo, what's up, baby?
88 was ready for me. It was nice and warm because my man had it ready for me. He wore 88 before I did and was a big brother to me. He asked.
Yeah, she was all stretched out on your little skinny behind when he came in there.
I had to get my weight up. Get your weight up. He asked, who would have got paid when we were in school? We all gotten something or just. He names a few people. Derek Mays was All-American. BT, Bobby Taylor, AT. Who was that? Aaron Taylor. Jerome, Ron Paulus, the Stars. Great question. And a good one to go out on, man. In this episode of Options Trading.
I mean, Nathan, them damn cheap-ass ones.
But I think that's the difference in some of the collectives and the approaches. Internally, the institutions that have taken an active role, they want to make sure that all players get something. And it's going to be interesting to see if that also seeps over to other sports. Because the name, image, and likeness is not just for the revenue-generating sports. So it'll be interesting to see. Just quick answer. What do you think? Do you think it would have been we share a pot and some get more on the outside than that pot, or you think that just the Stars would have been aligned?
I think just the Stars. Maybe there'd have been a little extra book of coops probably for some guys like me. I got an extra book of coops, but it would have been Jerome and those dudes, but got all the bread. They gave it to them. But you know what? To be honest, that's the way it should be.
You think that's the way it should be? A fair market exchange.
Man. Nobody came in. No one bought a ticket to watch Reggie Freeman play. They had a ticket to watch Jerome play. So he got shitted on a little bit more than I did. I came up early at the end of the day because my career wasn't that great, and I got a good education out of it with limited limping afterwards or whatever. But the dudes who brought the tickets in should get the bread. Right? I mean, that's a free market. That's
I don't know, man. I can't go with you on that one because in order for every Jerome to go out there and make plays, when I watch how the sauce is made and know that what goes into each period of those practices, those 22 periods of practice is made possible because of, yes, the Jerome Bettises of the world, but also everybody else that puts effort into making it happen, man. That that's why I think the concept of the collective, the concept of these investors being a part of this paradigm such that they influence recruiting is going to be helpful net. But it also pisses me off that the institutions still stay, pay free. They ain't paying nobody. That's the part that's pissing me off.
We talked about that. They could pay too, and they don't want to. They're ducking out of that. That's why they're let's go do these collectives. This is perfect. You guys can get paid by somebody else. I ain't paying you nothing.
Keep the can down.
That's a whole nother show.
Keep the can down the road. All right, y'all. It's been an amazing episode. This episode is called Options Trading. We talked about the options in the market. We talked about the options when it comes to this NBA playoff push. We talked about quarterback options. We talked about Colin Kaepernick's options going forward, whether it's going to be as an activist or a backup quarterback, or maybe, as he says, because he don't plan to stay in a backup role, eventually a starting quarterback. That's another thing you guys can handicap. What are the odds that Colin Kaepernick will ever be a starting quarterback in the NFL again? All these options led us to a very intriguing name, image, and likeness discussion. Please make sure you tune in and comment. Like we say, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to the podcast. It was 2 out of the 3 of the crew here today. We are the Ball Hog Sports Talk. My man, the Big Flow Show is in the building. Biggie in the background, Coogee in effect. Somebody did just say you can get a Coogee sweater on Amazon.
Hook me up. Christmas coming.
Hook me up. We did it rough, rugged, and raw. I am your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mountain South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. 1/3 of the crew, man. The Ball Hog Sports Talk. We brought it to you, sports, business, entertainment. We only know how to do it one way, and that's the way we did it, rough, rugged, and raw. Make sure you like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody you know, and go ahead and subscribe. Stop tripping. That costs you 2 seconds. Subscribe. Click subscribe. Enjoy y'all weekend, y'all. There's been a lot of tragedy this week. I will say before we get out of here, last weekend we did have a moment of silence for Dwayne Haskins. There was Cristiano Ronaldo
lost
a child, man, and that's
horrible.
The tragedy in that. What else happened? There was another loss this week in sports. Anytime we have tragic events, we want you guys to know here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk, while we laugh, while we have fun, we do respect life. So we send our prayers and best wishes to him, because that's a loss that you can never really bounce back from fully. So just sending our thoughts and prayers, genuine, sincere prayers to him and his family. With that, we is out. Peace.